I've been coming, I think I've come, this is probably the 6th year in a row, but I'm really glad I came because it is so recharging. You realize you are not alone. Bioneers, what I tell people when I try to tell them why they might want to come, is that it combines environment, politics, social responsibility, spirit, agriculture, and more than that, you can have anger and you can have spirit. Do you know what I mean? There are just not that many places nowadays where people can get both.
Oh, we're on an adventure in search of the new male. A new male myth, I say, because a myth is something that's...
And what's the old male myth? We're in charge?
And, well, like some people will say the real old male myth is as a steward, as a strength, as a nurturer, as a caretaker of, you know, the women and the children and the land, but it's got off balance.
It may be because our technology has gotten so powerful and our globe has gotten so connected that now the new male has to maybe have that same purpose, but see longer into the future and see a bigger picture and more relationships. And the problem is that so many males, their circle of concern extends to maybe themselves, maybe their family, maybe their company, maybe their ball team, you know, maybe their gang. But the idea, I think, is that at this moment in our history, you gotta have a bigger circle of concern. You gotta feel related to and responsible to and connected with more people and more people further into the future. Once a week, once every 2 weeks, a male friend of mine will say, "Hey, you dress pretty good. This is true. Where do you shop?
Yeah.
We ought to go shopping sometime." So there's something happening where guys are kind of catching on. One thing you want is texture.
Texture.
Yeah. In other words, even this has a visual texture, and this has a texture. And most straight men tend sort of not to pay attention to it. And why is that? Because it's just, to me, and this is make me sound like a damn peacock, but it's another form of art.
Yeah.
Just to have a little choice, just to make little choices.
Men used to do that. They used to be the peacocks, right? I don't know what happened, but
well, in most other species,
right,
the males
peacocks,
are, aren't they?
Right.
So I think that Bioneers is the greatest convening of the extended community of people who have made a shift and are on a path of planetary healing. I think what moves me is to be a better listener. I think in almost any situation, I just try to listen. What am I supposed to do? So that's being in balance with Gaia and with the feminine, because the male mind tendency just drives, and if I kind of subjugate the mind and my intensity to a larger listening, I end up a better person, and I end up a better servant of what I want to contribute to.
I take what you need, give what you can, where you can, when you can, however you can. In other words, lend a hand.
So in the new male, I see someone is a hero because they bring peace and not war.
I would like to see a guy bringing his full self and showing all his selves, expressing himself with us.
The union of male and female.
Oh, a new man would say to me openly, I am looking for the goddess within to meet the God within, and I want to watch them dance together.
I'd like a man who would admit to having sympathy pains with you during labor.
I'd like men who pick the symbols in our society that represent the worst of the society and transform those symbols. Transform in a fun, creative way the killing machines and the ugly symbols of our society into something beautiful.
It's in search of the new male.
The new male.
I call it the new male myth because myth it's all a myth, right?
Yeah. This particular conference does really well on bringing really strong women, and that's probably the best lesson for us males of all. You know, when you see that power, and you come to the point that you really respect that power. I think I've always felt that in my own life, I've learned more from women, far more than from men. All the issues that we've been talking about weren't necessarily gender or race or class or north-south. They were power and powerless. Those with the power and those quite deliberately without the power. So that the power structure, whatever it is, and of course it's men, whoever they are, wherever they are, they keep their power and the others aren't given the power, don't have the power. So I think that the new male maybe is about learning that within oneself. To question in every situation you're in, why do I have power if indeed I do? Or why don't I have any power if indeed I don't?
So we're planting seeds, like you are. We're planting seeds of the new male myth. So
How do we deal with the patriarchy at the point that where it is right now? All the men in government creating war, acting like little boys, like I hurt you, you hurt me, blah blah blah. How did the goddess come in to power, into leadership without becoming that? Like I know the answer, or one of them. You know, because there's so many solutions.
Well, tell us.
The woman needs to encourage the men to gather and circle as much as we do.
this is to plant the seeds for the temple Jupiter, which is a gathering place for men. What would men like at the temple? Fun. We have fun
Pillows.
clothes. Pillows.
Pillows. I'm learning that I need more pillows in order to save the world.
I like specific
If
answers.
men had more pillows, I think the world would be a lot better
To
place.
get more comfy.
Yeah, chill out, relax.
You know, usually I guess the male aggressive is me. You know, my ego, my assertion, my will, my seed, my child, my corporation, So it's like, how do you share? And one of the easiest ways I feel, and it's like working from the most intangible to the most tangible, would be story. And just finding vehicles for story, finding vehicles for storytelling, finding vehicles for the co-creation. Because again, I think that men don't have the feeling of I can create without giving up my power.
Oh, that's deep.
If you can create being in full power, then you have the possibility for actually, you know, saying, oh, power is something that I can expand into outside of me as opposed to puff up my skin and my flesh. But if you can show that, you know, that you're expanding into each other.
It's just the power of listening. When you hear a sound that attracts you, then takes you there, and it's absolutely the sound of your heart opening. And last night, I think we're talking about the male power and the empowering the male power in a very, very secret and subtle way. I saw 3,000 people naturally standing up, naturally kneeling for the most soft music in the world. It's nice to be able to purify the sound of your voice and realize that every word you say could be a very important medicine for your mind and the mind of somebody else.
What is the most amazing thing you heard today that stuck in your head?
So I think it's a whole other new nutritional thing that we haven't thought about.
Like wild food.
Wild food.
Peptide tea. Now that to me is the most amazing thing I have ever heard.
It's very evident that the new male is fairly well represented here. And what you notice most strikingly about these particular young men is that they are androgynous in their appearance. They seem to have very, very close relationships, working relationships with the women that are here. These guys are soft and fierce. It is different than anything I've ever seen, having come through the 60s, 70s, 80s. And so that's what I've noticed here in Devi more than anything else. It's very inspiring. It warms your heart. If you're my age, you say, you know, there's like real hope for the world.
Yeah.
Bioneers. I was really touched by something this morning here at Bioneers, someone who spoke about reverence. And reverence and respect, I think, are what needs to really come forward in men. And respect for women, respect for the female, I hate to use that term, but the female within them as well, without a castration. I mean, that's really important. There needs to be that sort of warrior strength that can be drawn on when it's needed, but not be the leading edge all the time. Men are fortunate when they have strong women in their lives, and so to appreciate the value and benefit of that is really a gift that a lot of men don't realize.
For me, the key challenge for a male now, it always has been, but especially now, is to engage the world, to engage nature physically, emotionally, because in that engagement, the male has changed. The tendency of the male, from my experience, has been without that connection, you become very abstract. You go off into your mind and you become dissociated from the world, and that's where all those mind worms, all that negativity gets to grow, and a very imbalanced approach to the world, resulting in a bad relationship to the land, totalitarianism, militancy. The Bioneers as a whole tend to think very holistically, very compassionately, and out of that comes a real creativity, and they make difficult problems go away with really remarkable solutions because they take everything into account.
Men have to embody that which they have felt the opposite of for a long time. So it's not about fighting women, it's about embracing your inner pussy. It's about becoming the receptive, listening, present, not having all the answers, being really open to being truthful in the moment, taking risks, all of the things that are attributable to women. To embrace that, allow that as part of their inner being. That's the kind of man I want to be with. So men embrace your inner pussy. That's way to go.
That's great.
Every woman will love you for it. I mean, when a man admits a mistake, it is the most endearing thing in the whole world.
Right.
And the fact is, men want a match anyway. They don't want to be dominant anymore. It's boring to be always on top, in all ways. It's boring to be always on top. You want to match for your energy, and that means cooperating with, being in harmony, playing, generating energy together. And that's what Nina and Kenny do, and that's why they're so hot, and that's why the Bioneers is so special. Because they generate energy together, and that's the only reason why two people should be together.
Oh God, yes, I forgot about you. We're so focused on ourselves. It's really been rare that we've been able to get everybody up here to acknowledge us.